Oh man, I am so glad I picked that song. That was very emotional, I'll tell you that. Welcome back to the finale of Lao and Aiko. That's right, they're gonna get married, finally. Last time, Aiko's spirit just went to heaven, actually. She actually went to heaven, and it was actually the Chaotian age, which was her perception of it. It was like the gate before heaven, actually. Her final destiny. And Katana was there. She was at the Chaotian age, and she gave her the choice, either to finish her destiny with Kung Lao, or just move on from there, move on to her next life. And Liu Kang, Raiden, Fushin, the lost pets she had as a kid, the capybaras that died in Japan because of negligence, they were all there tempting her. This was her final destiny, her final dilemma. But Katana actually held her back because she felt the heart gems were failing one by one. She was about to die permanently, but she actually made the decision to hold Aiko back. She was emotional. She was very sorry that she let everyone down, and they were revenants. Raiden failed to protect them. Raiden sacrificed himself with Blaze and whatnot. But Katana reassured it's all part of her destiny. And if it weren't for her, you know, other people's destinies wouldn't have thrived. You know, Chiang Kang, Cassie, Jackie, all of them settling down, have peaceful lives, even after Armageddon, even after their tragedies. And that's what motivated Liu Kang and Katana to send Aiko back in the first place, just to start a fresh new life and improve theirs. And she did. She accomplished her destiny, and she has been proven to be a vital part of the Pantheon in her next life. She was successful. She got her life back with the blood code that Liu Kang got, as well as destroying Scarlet and Ermac, encasing her soul and whatever else. They came together. It was cohesive. They went down to Aiko's vessel, and she and Lao vowed to Liu Kang they'd be part of the Pantheon as long as they are unsinful, as long as they're pure, and as long as they tie the knot first. So they got one final mission, and I can't wait to get this done. Hopefully I'll be all caught up. Here's the finale. Back at the Kung cottage, Kibo was just following the other pets, Little Guy and Jin, around, even after playing with them at times while munching on his Frosty Paws snack, and it interval. 12 hours had passed, and fortunately he wasn't alone pet-sitting. Eventually, Nightwolf came in as Ling unlocked the front door. He escorted both her and Jin from the Wuxi Academy since Aiko's sudden ailment by Scarlet, as they were still awaiting Kung Lao to be taken to the Temple of Light via black sedans. According to Cantonese tradition, they'd witnessed the spouse to be rushed there, followed by the shaman, and he didn't want Ling and Jin to worry, not be involved for fear avoidance. The cottage itself remained the same, and the trio noticed the white rabbit became a little nice to the wolf. Meanwhile, within the Jinsei chamber and surrounded by her heart gems still, Aiko was feeling heart palpitations along with heartburn due to acid in her throat. She immediately drank a small portion of the Jinsei. Fushin hadn't seen her and even Lao this bad of shape since Liu decimated Shinnok back in 1994. She and Kung Lao were sharing some food together, mostly some planned appetizers consisting of scalloped shrimp, eel, sushi, lobster, and crab. For their wedding, including fried seafood, shish kebabs, and sour rice. Surprisingly, only the monks, Fushin, and Ashra stayed, while everyone else was mentally healing and making preps for the late wedding. It seemed it was going to be February 15th instead, as fate was against them. Fushin assured at least it's after Valentine's Day, making it easier to remember and work with, notwithstanding Aiko's mom's birthday, Lao's birthday, followed by the romantic holiday itself. Aiko wondered how Ling and Jin are doing, in which Lao assured they should be back at the cottage with Nightwolf. Aiko was still unsure what's next after their marriage. If Sonia is available, she can help change your documents, even Aiko's name and your marital status. I'd recommend keeping the papers with your maiden name too, Aiko, for reference. But until then, there's only one more mission! February 15th, 1999, 8 p.m. Chinese Standard Time. The wedding might have been depleted of some appetizers, but everything else ran just as they should. Nightwolf enhanced some surveillance and kept a heart gem on hand in case of another conflict. The crowds were gathering with several more invitees than usual, including distant allies from the Special Forces Outworld, including Goro, Edenia, and the Yingyang Island, each with a heart gem for that same motive, even those awaiting and preparing Lao at the academy. While Aiko was again being dressed by Sindel, China was bustling with positive energy underneath the clear indigo sky, encasing opaque gray-pink clouds, as if the Shaolin Temple was a beacon amongst the massive caves. Within the main chamber, Cantonese brides donned on a highly embroidered red silk dress, which consisted of a petticoat adorned with the images of a dragon and a phoenix, as well as a long skirt. In addition, the groom, wearing a dark crimson tux, was expected to give a pair of matching dragon and phoenix bracelets made of gold to the bride, to be worn during the wedding festivities. The dragon and phoenix motive symbolized a blissful union, as described by the Chinese phrase translated to a union of the dragon and phoenix, which was fortunate since Lao's zodiac sign was the dragon anyway. Aiko's hair had the same pink cotton thread. She wore a red skirt symbolizing happiness. When the invitees arrived, Kai carried her to a sedan again. The gigantic gong was hit several times, announcing all invitees to attend, and the union was about to start as soon as the future couple approached. The Shaolin escorted Lao then Aiko to the Temple of Light, past the rows of seats, with the best man and women seating in the front, while other attendees sat in the rear. Each couple sat together side by side. Liu and Katana with Nightwolf, Jin, and Ling sat in the utmost front seats, and I don't want to describe that. You can pause here if you want. So basically, this is the setup here. Caro was also at the same locale due to his immense size. And the chameleons are there, elongating the neck, overlooking the ceremony. Heck, there were even a few uninvited guests who'd shown up at the last minute, such as Baricho, and even the free-roaming scout Frederick Son. I had to use him somehow. And I haven't talked to him in a while since that Saiyan phase. I wasn't really into that, but I missed the scouts so much. The red carpet decorated the epicenter, and as promised, the wind god became the minister at the main hall in front of the temple. Dearly beloved, we are gathered here tonight to witness Kung Lao and Aiko Crackle in their holy matrimony, to have and to hold through better or worse, through sickness and in health, and through rich or poor. We have joined here today to share an important moment. Through their time together, they have seen their love and understanding of each other grow and blossom, and now they have decided to live out the rest of their lives as one. If anyone were to speak why they should never be wed, speak now, or forever hold your peace. There was a pause and remained silent. No objections were made, nor any hands were raised amongst the crowd. And now they shall read from their wedding vows. There were 2 folded sheets of rice paper. Lao took his on the center pedestal, which was co-written by his best man, Liu Kang. The descendant then cleared his throat. I, Kung Lao II, take you, Aiko Crackle, my kindred friend, my guiding light, my devoted love and life partner from this day forward. In the presence of our family and friends, I shall give you my solemn vow to be your faithful partner through the good times and the bad, and in joy as well as in sorrow. I promise I shall always love you unconditionally, to support you in your goals and desires, to honor and to respect you dearly, to laugh with you, and to cry with you, and to cherish you for as long as we both shall live. He stated to Aiko it was always a great honor to love, cherish, protect, and to grow old together, even if one should pass on. He too vows to stay by her side and reunite in the afterlife to join the Pantheon, but also carry on his ancestor and Jen's legacy, to break the 500-year curse since they hadn't succeeded, unlike them. They promised to surpass them in eternal bliss, aside from skill, and hopefully set a positive example to Chinese and Americans alike. Cardiokinetic took out her wedding paper, the wedding vow. She smiled, trying to hold back her tears of happiness. I, Aiko Crackle, take you, Kung Lao, as my strong life partner and my one and only true love. With all my heart and soul, which I'd offer to you, I will treasure our bond and love you each day more so than with any other man. I shall be your guide both living and dead, as Raiden and the Great Kung Lao are to you. You had changed my perception on love as well as on the Chinese forever, and for that, I shall trust you and respect you, laugh with you and cry with you, and to hold you dearly through good times and bad, regardless of what our past and future may hold. I give you my hand, my heart, my soul, and my love from this day forward, for as long as we both shall live. Aiko gave her his hand in marriage. All she offers is her heart and soul, which she pledged to him for time immemorial. She wanted to remain by his side, even if one of them should pass, and until they both do, together, they shall reunite with their friends at the Pantheon and become eternal defenders of Earth realm. After the vows, they paid respect to Fire God Liu Kang, Fusion, and to their ancestors, including the Great Kung Lao, as well as Aiko's European and Matokan heritage, to their elders, and finally to each other. Fusion asked each the bride and groom they wished to be wed, to be their lawful wedded husband and wife, at which they said yes, or rather in Mandarin, Wo Zhuo, Wo Zhuo. The rings, please. With that cue, there were several long chirps as a grown animal with brown fur waddled up to the altar. Aiko at first suspected it may be the son of the man and maid of honor, Chiang, but instead there was a surprise visitor. An adult capybara emerged from the left underside. And Aiko, damn it, the clock had to chime in. Like, seriously, I can never catch a break. I mean, seriously. Alright, there's a surprise visitor. An adult capybara emerged from the left underside. And Aiko knew it was Kikyo with her affectionate cries and dark brown fur. 2 royal blue plate palettes were hung from her neck, and the couple each took the rings. Then Kikyo returned to Lutana's perches. With this as a token of love and affection, they each wed as they repeated their mentor. By the power vested in fusion from the gods and the Shaolin, he pronounced them man and wife, and he gave the permission to kiss the bride. The pair then looked deeply into their eyes. After a pregnant pause, they slowly leaned in and closed their eyes and kissed passionately. Everyone was ecstatic as they applauded for the completion of their union as Kung Lao and Kung Aiko. And I stuck with that name ever since. Unless you count the role play, it's Aiko Kang. One by one, everybody was escorted to the Wuxi Academy for the reception. The bride and groom exited first, escorted by Fusion via the usual wind portal, while the others followed. Caro, though, transported himself there to prevent congestion. The lion dance was performed in the background by the Shaolin's wives and daughters, those who were talented to bring blessing and good luck to the newlyweds and their families. It symbolized bravery, wisdom, and prosperity. It was often accompanied by live drumming and percussion instruments, with the instruments provided not just by the monks, but a few from the Matoka, courtesy of Nightwolf as the wife's best man. It was also believed to drive away evil spirits and bring happiness to the couple. Eventually, by the time the ritual was complete, the music shifted to a more contemporary setting. The newlyweds even noticed a lot of their signature songs were being played, even several of the themes chosen for their peers. The banquet consisted of 5 to 10 courses with ingredients such as shark fin, abalone, lobster, squid, or squab, sea cucumbers, swift nests, and fresh roe in soup, or as decoration on top of a dish to symbolize fertility. The rest of them included the aforementioned roasted pigs symbolizing heading to fortune, as well as purity and virginity. There was also a course of seaweed, jellyfish, and bean curd. And finally, the course with the shark fin soup with crab meat and the 8 treasures soup, which consisted of red mung beans, black rice, glutinous rice, peanuts, dried lily slices, dried or fresh Chinese yam, lotus seeds, and Chinese pearl barley. Man, that sounds exotic. I wish I would have that. Each of the attendees ate and were also grouped together by mostly one couple, with several suiting large groups such as the Shaolin, the rings bearer, Kikyo, had to leave before the banquet as capybaras in general were introverted and couldn't endure large crowds like me. Caro didn't mind the average-sized entrees, as they were just enough to in frequency to satisfy his appetite. Soon came the cake-cutting ceremony for dessert, which had chocolate with encased nuts and berries. There were numerous conversations overlapping the academy, but one that stood out was when Johnny came to the Kung newlyweds and offered if their story shall be included as the epilogue of the Great Kung Lao's Odyssey. Mortal Kombat Conquest. They've accepted, but they weren't sure who'd play their roles, and they weren't interested in working with Hollywood and contracts stealing their souls. Cage then thought for a moment before coming to the decision on making a sort of ending crawl similar to the biopics. They shall allow the Great Kung Lao and Jen's destinies come full circle. By 9 p.m. Chinese Standard Time, Lord Liu Kang went to the epicenter of their White Lotus base and declared it's now time for Kung Lao and Kung Aiko to grab their belongings, and then they're off to a week-long honeymoon within the Edenian Palace. The crowds cheered, wishing them a safe journey and to have fun in Edenia. The couple's stomachs were full, yet they remained cheerful as they headed out of the academy, where cerulean whirlwind-shaped rift awaited them, with Katana standing beside it. At the same time, a series of cherry blossom rose petals, as well as pieces of olive branches, were tossed to them, with the latter requested by Frederick. Everyone involved knew for a fact that the Kung wedding was a phenomenal success without any intrusions. And everyone, including their family and friends, all know in their hearts that Raiden, the Great Kung Lao, and Jen Rayland shall be proud. Sindel, Katana, Jade, Asgarth, and Gerard pre-arranged the royal blue chamber that was occupied by the princess during her youth as the main quarters for the newlywed Kungs. After they had a restful night, they'd done a variety of activities. They'd often frequent the majestic inside pool, intermixed with a few capybara herds welcoming them. They would often discuss with the sovereignty during meals on their blossoming relationship, even during the dire times here, including the Onaga War, Shinnok's invasion, even past history of the Great Kung Lao. Jade and Gerard were the main guides throughout the tour of the prestigious grounds, including the main throne room, and many places they hadn't been to before, such as the water meadows, where the birdmen, capybara herds, and wildlife live. Even Taven visited and offered to give the couple a tour of his own domain reconstructed from its ruins, and met Orin for the first time, even encountering the rubble that stood at the southern crater from the former pyramid of Argus, where they mourned over Raiden and mortal Liu Kang's great sacrifices. There was one time in which Aiko succumbed to that time of the month, and Jade immediately suggested for her to use tampons. Aiko was nervous on using them on account of hearing about toxic shock syndrome, and they'd be changed within every few hours. But the Edenian warrioress kept persuading her, much to her annoyance. Kung Aiko was unsure on mating with Lao, as she'd be too infertile, and that her birth was a near-death experience for her and her mom, suffering from complications. Thus her early entrance into the realms. Still, they got intimate, even brought over the tribal drum they've used before. They simply went everywhere, excepting the fourth base. For the final activity on their last night within the ethereal realm, most members of the royal guard, including Li Mei, escorted the Kung couple to their prized vessel, the Netherwing, the airship that was modeled after Shang's Nethership, inspired by the fallen dragonfly, and was flown to the crater during the Battle of Armageddon. It flew over many of Edenia's beautiful fields and mountains. All too soon, the honeymoon was over. Both Kung Lao and Kung Aiko gathered their belongings, even some Edenian food and souvenirs. There were also still some of the foods from the reception awaiting them. And this is the postscript here. Their everlasting bond never wavered over nor faded. The Shaolin's best artisans crafted the virtue station beside the Great Kung Lao, and was completed during their last day in Edenia, just like their unbreakable relationship as During their last day in Edenia, just like their relationship, as the Chinese Romeo and American Juliet, they'd succeeded and exceeded Lao's ancestor. They always wished someday soon, Americans and the Chinese would have more peaceful terms. For not only did they live a longer, more prosperous life than Kung and Jen, they were indeed chosen as members of the Pantheon in their next life, where they've taken residence within their mobile turf, a large layered pink cloud mass, soaring through the heavens and realm to realm, accepting the underworld. Little by little, their family gathered there, including their close rodents and sometimes Nightwolf. Although they never bore a child of their own, Jin became a promising warrior and archer in his own right, even as gay, and he was also adopted by the couple when he reached 18, and both Kai and Nightwolf became his best mentors. Lao and Aiko's relationship flourished through the eons. Their souls, as well as their history, have been forever secure, with no worries of the revenant, nor dystopian future, nor Shinnok claiming their souls, nor being separated upon death, as it was also simultaneous and natural. The Kung legacy shall live on forever, just like them. Just a big-lipped alligator moment here. If I have any more ideas, the Kungs will still live. I still might do a few side stories at times in conjunction with my countdowns and occasionally on Caro's baby journal. I really want to make this as the second series finale, if any, like Star Trek with the Undiscovered Country, the Nemesis with Picard, as lousy the latter is. And there was a slight reference in the previous chapter to First Contact, as Worf destroyed the Borg's dish as part of an interplanetary beacon designed to summon other Borg in the 21st century. Luckily, it never activated as Worf decimated it, declaring, "Assimilate this." This could also be a middle finger to the accursed lab Shang used to make a suppression of the Tarkat disease, a retorted ripoff of COVID in MK 2023. The Flesh Pit's Deadpool and labs shouldn't be forbidden. They must be eradicated! I can't stress that enough. The concept of them joining the Pantheon was out of curiosity, as I'd made concept art almost like a magical girl of Aiko soaring around, and having a pink cloud fortress similar to Superman's Fortress of Solitude. Adding Jen and Little Guy was a nice touch, and I love pink clouds so much. All this time, ever since I'd started my Chronology series back in March 2022, after my comeback with Shaolin monks, I always respected Kung Lao, and goddamn, he deserves to be in the series itself. And now he, along with my beloved OC, had finished their story. There was another wedding fic for F-Zero, in which another disrespected character, Rick Wheeler, Ryu Sasaka II in my case, was married to another OC, Tinsel Steelus, becoming Tinsel Steelus Wheeler. The truth is, not only do I want to give closure to the Kungs and make time for my lunar levels, but I also needed to relieve my angst since one of the content creators I hate, the complacent Clement, has been married to Caro back in December. They shall be damned, as he can be a liar, manipulator, and a possible egomaniac psycho, much as like Scourge and Fiona. Not just MK9 and the vids summarizing Raiden as the villains irritating me so goddamn much. May I wish the worst. Go fuck yourself? How about you go wake up in bed with a horse's head, Jimmy boy? It wasn't easy exploring these new Cantonese traditions, unlike the Japanese ones in the other fic. Not even Rick and Tinsel bore a child neither, based on my own birth deficiencies. Also, since I was exhausted upon making the last chapter, it was a relief eliminating Scarlet and Ruby the way I did, as I never want to have a repeat of Armageddon and a reincarnation of Blaze. All good things must come to an end, after all. To be concluded, not cancelled. And I'm so glad I've given some closure here, which is the most important thing to me in all media. I mean, just take a look at my 200 subscribers special in that regard. If I may continue the series, there shall be more side stories in conjunction with baby Carl's journal. Until then, this shall function as the final main installment in my chronology. The Kung family and its history shall always carry on as a positive niche in MK's history. Jin, along with Chung, shall be the next in line and journey to all the combats to come. The Kung legacy shall always be honored and will never die, no matter what. Man, I am so relieved to get this finally done. So yeah, I am completely done with this, as well as the main stories, aside from the side ones. Unless if I should do more in the future. So, until the next fanfic, or maybe if I should write the side stories again and do podfics of them, this is the Ekron Writers signing out. I might do the Unaliving War, but I'm not sure. But I am so glad to get 2 OC couples done with the Woobies, the 2 Woobies, in their respective franchises. And I'm so glad to be done with this. And I hope Lu and Katana go through the same thing in the end of Wrath of the Fire God, but I won't count on it. I always wanted this, especially if the Paramount merger should resume. May Mortal Kombat have a better future, far better than Dominic and what Boom can do, and make Mortal Kombat great again with John Tobias. I also happen to be a Trumpster, by the way. So yeah, this is the Ekron Writers signing out. Farewell, fellow combatants.